here tonight. And you being here means a lot more than just attending an event. It's a symbol of the community and the compassion, the people that truly change the lives of cats who need it most. For those of you who might not know me, my name is Garrett. I'm Garrett Schwartz. I'll be your MC tonight. Should be fun. And we got a lot of, just history and info about it. I'll tell you quick about me. I've been just a fan of Cat Cafe and what they do for a long time, even before my brother ended up marrying Carrie, the CEO of the Cat Cafe. That's another connection. I'm also the proud owner of a couple of cats. If you want to know more, you want to see a couple pictures later, I can show you a couple hundred.
Yes.
And it's an honor to be here tonight, to be with so many people who make it possible for the Cat Cafe to do what they do, giving cats a second chance, creating a place for both cats and people to feel at home and to connect in a real way. So tonight is not just about fundraising, it's also about celebrating the incredible journey that we've taken together and the milestones we've reached, the lives that we've saved together, and the even bigger future that we're building. Over the past year, Phoenix Cat Cafe has continued to grow as both a safe haven for cats and a gathering place for cat lovers across Phoenix and the area. There's no place like it, really. We've strengthened our connection to the community through wonderful partnerships with local businesses by introducing even more people to the cats who need them the most. Our kitten pop-up events and fundraisers at amazing community partners like Rent House Brewing Company, some beer from them outside in the raffle section. Bouldering Project Phoenix, Retail Therapy, Light and Bark Candle Company, and Roses by the Stairs Brewing have all allowed us to bring our mission far beyond the walls of the cafe. So through these collaborations, we've not only found homes for cats, but built meaningful relationships with businesses and supporters who believe in what we do. Our most successful fundraiser this year was with a new neighbor of our North Cat Cafe, Ghost Tiger Tattoo. Their Cats and Tats flash tattoo event raised over $1,000 for this organization. Really cool. And I wonder how many cat tats were done that day. At least a few, I would think, right? Cat tattoos. I got one. Not yet, in the plans. At the heart of everything we do are the cats, though. The reason we're all here tonight. The past year has brought both incredible highs, breakthroughs, but also heartbreaking challenges. We've celebrated beautiful adoption stories where cats found their forever homes, forever families. And we've also faced difficult medical battles that reminded us just how much care and dedication each of these animals needs. So if there's one thing we've learned over the past year at Phoenix Cat Cafe, it's cats will always keep us on our toes. They land on their feet and they keep us on our toes. In fact, 2025 and 2026 have unofficially become the year of dentals. Since the last time we gathered together like this, 10 cats have required extensive dental procedures and 3 more are scheduled in the next few weeks. More than half of those cats needed full mouth extractions. Wow. And that might sound dramatic. I mean, it is dramatic, but cats are incredibly resilient. They, within days of surgery, are back to eating their favorite foods and playing and feeling better than they have in years, and mostly because they're finally free from the pain they've been silently dealing with. But some of the medical challenges we faced this year were far from routine. We lost a cat named Gerald, who suddenly became very ill. We believe he may have had an undiagnosed heart condition that took him too young. And then Isabella, who developed seizures caused by toxoplasmosis. Despite every effort and medication available, her seizures couldn't be controlled, and the treatments were beginning to take away her whole quality of life. So making the decision to say goodbye was incredibly difficult, but it was the kindest thing we could do for her. Other cats are still fighting their battles. Corn Dog, who many of you may remember was recently adopted, which is wonderful news. But we also discovered that he had terrible teeth and has severely painful hips. He had an extremely complicated dental surgery lasting 3 hours to remove all of his remaining teeth and roots from broken teeth. He's now on daily and monthly pain management for his hips while we work with veterinarians to find a more affordable surgical option that'll give him the comfortable life that we want for him. Now, then there's Morty, who may actually be our simplest medical case this year. Morty is just an old man who needs regular subcutaneous fluids to support his kidneys. Unfortunately, the activity of the lounge can be stressful for cats with a kidney disease, or an old man, to be honest. So we know his condition may progress faster than we like, but until his forever family finds him, we'll continue doing everything we can to keep him comfortable and cared for and loved, of course. So one thing we've learned over the years is that when cats arrive at Phoenix Cat Cafe, we rarely know what medical challenges they might be carrying with them until they're there. We joke that these cats somehow know they're finally somewhere safe. They know they're in a cool place, and then they can start showing us that they need help. That makes sense. And Gia definitely got that memo. Not long after she arrived, we noticed something strange. She was licking and eating litter. A vet initially believed it was a stress response and recommended anxiety medication, but then her blood work looked normal, so we were told not to worry, but we did. So soon after, Gia began walking strangely, almost like her front and back legs weren't coordinated properly. And we immediately reached out to our board veterinarian and Friends in Rescue, and there was a growing concern that Gia might have FIP, a historically fatal viral disease caused by a mutation of feline coronavirus. Thankfully, today there is treatment for that. So with the help of our friends at Saving One Life, we were able to start Gia on an 84 treatment protocol. And because her symptoms were severe, she needed daily injections every single day. And this is where the real magic of this community comes in. One of our lounge employees, Rachel, stepped up to foster Gia during the days the cafe was closed to make sure she received her medication on time every single day. And as Gia improved, we were able to transition her to oral version of her medication, which she tolerated much better. And we're thrilled to share that yesterday, Gia received her final dose, 84 days. So we'll continue to monitor her blood work and watch closely for any signs of relapse. But we are incredibly hopeful that Gia can now begin the life she deserves as a healthy, happy, and adoptable cat. Stories like Gia's remind us why this work matters so much. And while we care for our cats with complex medical needs, we also continued our trap, neuter, return efforts, helping stabilize community cat colonies while supporting the incredible caregivers who dedicate their time to protecting cats across the valley. Behind every cat we release back into the community through TNR is a veterinary team that makes that work possible. So we are incredibly lucky to partner with one clinic in particular that consistently shows up for the cats who need it most, providing care, compassion, expertise for so many of our community cats. So tonight we want to recognize their dedication with a very special award, but first we'd love to share a short video about the impact that they've made.
past year, much of our trap leader return work hasn't been large projects or big colonies for us. Instead, it's been the quiet, persistent work of maintaining the colonies we've already helped, trapping 1 or 2 cats at a time. And sometimes, those last few cats are the hardest to help. We have to be careful to not accidentally trap cats who have already been fixed, and the new cats that appear in colonies don't always show up on a predictable schedule. It can take patience, persistence, and a lot of late nights checking traps. But none of this work would be possible without veterinary partners who understand how critical TNR is for our community. We are incredibly fortunate that here in Phoenix, there are a handful of clinics dedicated to providing low-cost spay and neuter services for community cats. One clinic in particular has been an extraordinary partner to our program, Low-Cost Veterinary Surgery Clinic of Scottsdale. Over the past few years alone, their team has sterilized more than 60 cats just from the colonies we help manage. Their staff works tirelessly every single day to help as many outdoor and feral cats as possible. On some mornings, when Bria and Carrie arrive with traps, the hallway is already lined with them, each one holding a cat waiting for the care that will change its life and help stabilize their community cat population. Clinics like theirs are rare, and the work they do is essential for trappers and colony caregivers across the valley. Their dedication, compassion, and unwavering support of community cats in Phoenix, we are proud to present this year's Changemaker Award to Low-Cost Veterinary Surgery Clinic of Scottsdale.
Yeah, make some noise for him. That's fantastic. I believe we have a member of staff from Low-Cost Veterinary Clinic of Scottsdale to receive the award today. Oh yeah, make some noise for him. Come on. Maybe a second person to get a picture. Come on right up here. Everybody make some noise for her. Make some noise for Low-Cost Veterinary Clinic of Scottsdale. One of the most common questions that we get asked is, where do your cats come from? So let's take a look again up here to learn the answer.
Directly from the call. We just on their way to our At Phoenix Cat Cafe, many of the cats who eventually find their way into our lounge begin their stories outdoors. Because we actively participate in trap neuter return, many of the cats we rescue come directly from the colonies we help manage. Sometimes, while trapping, we discover a cat who is simply too friendly to survive on the streets, a cat who clearly belongs indoors. That's why you'll notice that many of the cats in our lounge have a small tip missing from their left ear. That ear tip is a universal sign that a cat was once part of an outdoor colony and has been spayed or neutered. While we do much of this work ourselves, we're also incredibly fortunate to have trusted people in our community who share the same mission. People who dedicate their time to helping outdoor cats find safer, better lives. One of those people has been involved in rescue since before she could even drive. While most teenagers were balancing school and social lives, she was spending her evenings setting traps, helping colony caregivers, and making sure cats got the medical care they needed. Even while juggling high school homework and now couple classes, over the years, dozens of cats who once called the Phoenix Cat Cafe home began their rescue journey with her. Her compassion, dedication, and determination have made a real and lasting impact on the cats in our community, and we know she's just getting started. For her passion, commitment, and the countless cats she has helped save, we are proud to present the Cat Champion Award to Alex Levenbaum.
Thank you very much for letting me keep the cats, young lady, and a photo, of course.
Those aren't really my pet. No.
adoptions are a huge part of our nonprofit mission. And we know that some of you are curious about the adoptions over the past year, so the Phoenix Cat Cafe Board President, Mark Ann, is here to give you an update.
Thank you, Garrett. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming this evening. This past year has been much slower for our adoption numbers, with only 63 adoptions, as the lounge has become more of a destination to visit versus a place people think to adopt from. But even with those low numbers, we have had some very exciting and memorable adoptions. Some of you may remember the 4-pack. Ruthie and Harley came in as a bonded pair in July of 2022. Ivan and Sterling came in almost a year later in June of 2023. Along the way, Harley became bonded to Ivan and Ruthie to Sterling. So we wanted to find a home for all of them together. We posted on social media calling them the perfect crazy cat starter pack. We even had t-shirts made with their faces on them. In March of last year, this amazing couple came along and the 4-pack finally found their forever home. It's been great getting updates from their adopters. At the 6-month mark in September, we received an update that Ivan, who they sometimes call Grumps, is especially sweet in the mornings. Sterling still continues to be a lover. Harley, though he was still a little skittish, has become really affectionate. He loves getting chin scratches, will flop on the ground for belly rubs, and they even heard him purring a few times. Ruthie makes the cutest noises and will let them pet her, but just when she's eating with the others, she's also very playful. In January of this year, we received another update with a major breakthrough for Ruthie. She loves to get pets, chin scratches, and even belly rubs. She now seeks them out. The boys are doing great as well.
Oh, that's so cool.
This is Clementine of Rumpy Minx. She came to the lounge in June of 2024. Because of her breed, she has a shorter spine and lacks the ability to control her bowel movements, making her fecal incontinent. So we knew that it may take a while for the right adopters to come along. We're happy to say that she went home in April of 2025 and is doing really well. Her adopter sent us this update just a few days ago, saying, Clementine fooled us, sweet and unsuspecting at first, but then her true personality emerged once we got her home. She loves playing with random hair ties or plastic springs, watching TV, keeping her 2 brothers firmly in line, curling up for cozy naps with her humans, and most of all, waiting by her bowl for the next meal to drop. Equal parts bossy, curious, and cuddly. And next up is Charlie Girl. She came to the cafe in February of 2023 and was with us for over 2 years. She was adopted this past August by one of our previous volunteers who built a relationship with Charlie Girl during her volunteer shifts. She was able to build trust with her to the point that Charlie Girl would sit in her lap, and she is now living her best life in Chicago. Tori first came to the lounge in January of 2024 and only spent a month with us before being adopted. But just as quickly as she was adopted, she was returned a month later in March due to having diarrhea outside the litter box and having a positive FIV-FELP test, which was done by the adopter's vet. Anyone that knows anything about FIV and FELP knows that a seemingly pretty healthy cat testing positive for both is extremely rare. The adopter no longer wanted to care for Tori, so Carrie picked her up and took her to our vet to have her retested. This test was negative, just like the initial test we did when she first came to us, so we're pretty sure the test that came back positive was damaged in some way. In August of 2024, Tori was adopted again. Her previous adoption and issues of having diarrhea were fully disclosed to the adopter, and we really thought this would be Tori's forever home, but sadly that wasn't the case. 3 months later, in November of 2024, Tori was returned yet again due to the other cat in the home bullying Tori, which resulted in her going outside of the litter box. Back at the cafe again, Tori was on daily meds to help with IBS, and we unfortunately were suspicious of her having lymphoma. Because of this, we figured Tori would just stay at the cafe and become a resident, because we didn't trust that if she were to be adopted again, that she wouldn't get returned. but if you've been to cat yoga at the cafe before, you may know Meg, our Saturday yoga instructor. She fell in love with Tori and wanted to adopt her despite all of the potential medical issues. So in September of 2025, Tori said goodbye to the lounge for the third and final time. We're so happy to say that Tori is doing great. She's adjusted very well to her new home. She willingly snuggles with her dog brothers and explores with her cat siblings. She spends most of her time rolling around on the bed, chasing her tail in circles around the cat tree, and chirping at the birds outside. Health-wise, she's also doing really well. She's gained the weight back that she lost, and with the help of their vet, they were able to wean her off most of her meds. And this last adoption update is Venus and Neptune. They came to us in May of 2024 from a colony that Sky Sanctuary cared for. And if you're not familiar with Sky Sanctuary, they're a rescue here that primarily focuses on dogs. When Venus and Neptune first came into the lounge, they were extremely shy, but were adopted in November of that same year. Sadly, they were returned a few months later due to their adopter being allergic. Once they were back in our care, both cats had dentals and unfortunately had to have full mouth extractions. Neptune had to go in for a second time to finish the extractions due to her temperature dropping too low during the first procedure. It took time for them to become comfortable in the lounge again. They both just seemed a little depressed after being returned, and it was sad to see them have this setback. But they slowly started to become more social. Neptune would roll on her side and really lean into the pets after a while. She also loved running on the wheel. I know for myself and a lot of the regular volunteers, it was so great to see their progress week after week, to see them become friendly again and be out and about in the lounge. So that's why we're so excited to say that they were adopted in January of this year by one of our former baristas, Abby, and her boyfriend, Simon. They now live in Colorado and have fully settled into their new home. Venus immediately found a window to lay by. Neptune took a few days to warm up, but slowly started wanting to be out while Abby and Simon were home. She started using her wheel again, loves laying with them on the couch, and has really bonded with Simon. While our hope is that every cat gets adopted quickly and stays in that home, as you can see, this isn't always the case. Some cats stay with us for 2 or 3 years before getting adopted. Some get adopted quickly, but get returned for a number of reasons. But no matter what, our main goal is to provide every cat with a safe and loving environment for as long as we have them. Whether you support us through monetary donations, donate food or other supplies, or donate your time by volunteering in the lounge, it all makes a huge difference. Thank you.
Thank you for that update and all the pictures. We saw a lot of adoptions at the end, but I love the pictures of the cats figuring things out at the cafe, making new friends, like forming cliques or crews or whatever. Yeah, good to see it. Now, in order to do this, to even have cats in our care, one very important thing that we need is the volunteers who help every day with all the care that these cats need. So we always like to take a moment to honor a volunteer who has chosen Phoenix Cat Cafe as the place they spend their valuable time with our Volunteer of the Year award. So let's listen to what deserving person is receiving this award in 2026.
In rescue work, volunteers often come and go, especially in a city like Phoenix, where so many of our volunteers are students balancing school, jobs, and busy lives. And the truth is, volunteering at a cat cafe isn't always what people expect. It's not just cuddling cats and taking cute photos. Much of the work happens behind the scenes, cleaning, maintaining the lounge, and making sure the cats have a healthy, comfortable environment every single day. But every once in a while, someone comes along who truly understands how meaningful this work is. Someone who shows up week after week simply because they love the cats and want to make a difference. And sometimes those volunteers stay through every change and every challenge because they believe deeply in the mission. Denise Cockrell is one of those people. Since July of 2022, Denise has been volunteering at Phoenix Cat Cafe every single weekend, like clockwork. Over time, she has built a routine that keeps the lounge running smoothly, making sure all essential tasks are completed before taking a few moments to spend time with the cats she's formed special bonds with over the years. Volunteers like Denise are the backbone of what we do. Her reliability, kindness, and dedication help ensure that every cat in our care receives the love and attention they deserve. For her unwavering commitment to our cats and our mission, we are honored to name Denise Cockrell as our 2026 Volunteer of the Year.
Give it up for Denise, everybody.
Okay, give me a minute to work through my tag. Being here with us today, there are many faces that I do know, but there are a lot of you guys that I have never met before, and I'm so thrilled that you are being introduced to Phoenix Cat Cafe to be able to see everything that we've done over the past year. So what I want to talk about tonight is about how we are a little bit different than other rescue organizations might be. We're a little bit more strict when it comes to our adoptions. And I know sometimes people will kind of have the argument with me about, well, does that limit your adoptions? Probably does, but I don't care. I want to do what is best for the cats, and I know them so well that I'm going to make sure that I know where they're going, I trust the people. And so we do a lot of kind of above and beyond for our adoption process. So we have a whole process where we require every single adult in the home to visit the cats because we actually have had some impulsive decisions that have led to returns where one person adopted a cat and then a couple of days later her brother actually returned the cat because he didn't want her and it wasn't agreed to. So we've added those things into our requirements. And then we have our application process online. We do a phone interview or sometimes an in-person interview, and then we also do a virtual home check as well. So we do a lot to ensure that our cats are going to be in a home forever and ever. We also have, I think they should be standard things that adopters agree to when they take a cat home. And some of those things include never declawing their cat, never letting them outside. But one of the things that I think a lot of organizations don't do is we also require that our cats come back to us. I want my cats back, no matter what, no matter where they are. So, I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit of a story. You may have seen this on social media. This is a story of Meatball. So, Meatball, I actually have to read my notes, I can't just read this one. So, Meatball had some missing details in that video that you might have seen on social media. So on January 17th, I received an email and a call from Humane Society of Southwest Washington in Vancouver, Washington, saying that they found Meatball. Immediately, my stomach dropped, and I called Bria. And I was like, oh my God, Meatball was lost, and I need to get a hold of his adopter, and totally freaked out. I got a hold of her. She actually had relinquished him to the shelter because her life circumstances were changing, and she thought that that would be the best place for him. Meatball has always been a cat's cat. He was a cat that was adopted into a home with another cat, knowing that he was never really a human lovey-dovey cat. And he was also super shy, mostly lived on our shelves, and so I knew that a big shelter environment was not going to be a successful place for him. So I replied to the shelter and I said, yeah, I want my cat back. Like we're gonna take him. And so I just needed some time to figure out how. So on January 22nd, his hold was up. So that is when they would officially decide what his next steps would be if we didn't pick him up by that point. Would he become adoptable? Would he go into whatever other program? Would, they do other things like euthanasia? So Bria, my VP, and I had a long conversation about we need to get meatball. How do we get meatball? One thing I was really trying to avoid doing was talking to Steve. Steve, if you know him, he was our volunteer of the year, he's been a foster of the year, he's super involved with the cats that he brings in. Meatball is one that he had found and trapped when Meatball was just a little baby. That's Meatball in the lounge. And the last thing I wanted to do was to tell Steve that Meatball had been surrendered. Because honestly, I knew Steve would just like, okay, I'll just like walk over there and pick him up. And that's totally what Steve would do. And I was trying to prevent that. I was trying to reduce stress as much as possible. So after a ton of back and forth, Bria and I were able to put together a plan that we thought was gonna work flawlessly. Her brother happened to be going up to the Portland, Vancouver area for a little guys trip. So we kind of begged him like, hey, is there any possible way you guys might be able to help us out? And it was gonna be pretty flawless, but unfortunately a lot of back and forth with them in the shelter, it just wasn't going to work with getting him in the carrier that he needed and their timeline and all of those things. So Bria then was like, well, I guess I'll fly up there. So Bria then flew up the same weekend that her brother happened to be going. So her plan was, we thought it all out. We had 2 carriers that were the exact same size. We knew he didn't want to be handled, so the plan was have 2 exact same carriers. When we get to TSA, they need to scan one carrier, and then he goes into the other carrier, boom, we're through. He doesn't really have to be held. The best laid plans, right? So Bria flies up there, Ubers to the Humane Society. They are not willing to put him in the carriers that she brings. They have him in this hard carrier that is way too big to fit under a plane seat. And they were describing his behavior as an FAS score, fear, anxiety, and stress score of 4 out of 5. He was apparently very fractious that morning as well. He had escaped out of the kennel that he was in. So they kind of gave her a lot of these details, basically saying like, he's not gonna do good. He's not gonna fly well. Good luck getting him in this smaller carrier because he's 14 pounds now. So she had to get on a flight back home and they were just unwilling to help her. So unfortunately she left without Meatball. And then I had to tell Steve. And exactly like I thought, here's Meatball and this is when Bria saw him. He was very scared. So then I told Steve, and of course Steve's reaction was, okay, I'll get my plane ticket and I'll rent a car. And I was like, oh, Steve, I hate that you do so much for us. You do too much. But then the question became, okay, so you're flying up there. You're not going to have any supplies. How do we get him comfortable and safe on the drive back home? So I actually connected with somebody that we are connected with on social media, PDX cat trapper, so Portland cat trapper, Karen. She agreed to get Steve and Meatball set up with a dog kennel, litter, food, kind of the whole 9 yards. So she got the whole setup for Steve so that when he flew in and got his rental car, he just loaded everything up and got situated. He got to the Humane Society, and what I had the discussion with the Humane Society with him about Meatball was, okay, we're gonna give him gabapentin for this week. We're gonna give him gabapentin the morning of. Steve is going to have a big dog crate. You guys have a cart, so we're gonna put Meatball in the dog crate for Steve to just roll out, put him in his car. Beautiful plan, right? Then I get this video from Steve of him having to take Meatball out of a carrier to put him in the dog crate in the parking lot of the Humane Society. I also learned that apparently they did not give Meatball his gabapentin that morning either. So there were a lot of roadblocks, but like Steve does, he made it work. So Meatball knew that he could trust Steve, and so he got in that car with him, and they drove and they drove and they drove. And for those of you that don't know the distance, Vancouver is about 19 hours if you were to drive straight through. So they did make a few stops along the way, but they were still back very, very quickly. So Steve was able to get Meatball set up in the kennel at the cat cafe when they came back, and now Meatball is settled back into the lounge. Again, he's a cat's cat. So he is there snuggling with Mr. Moo. He's there being a third wheel with Leo and Mr. Moo. And he's definitely taken some steps back. He's definitely regressed a little bit back to kind of some of his feral, unhandleable personality traits. So we're just rebuilding that trust with him because we know that that stay in the shelter was probably very, very traumatic for him. So we're just kind of letting him take it slow, just like we do with any of our feral friends, essentially. So he's going to need a new home with somebody that isn't going to give up on him and is going to kind of make those sacrifices no matter what life hands them. And honestly, we cannot thank Steve enough for everything that he does for the lounge. He comes in and volunteers almost every single weekday, picks up weekend shifts. When I say volunteers every weekday, I mean he comes in at like 6 a.m., not just our normal shift. Totally goes above and beyond. And so we decided that we needed to create a new award for Steve. For Steve here. Getting our
seeing the whole place build, seeing it updated, seeing them go through all the approvals and inspections and everything. I helped build the furniture and see all the details, attention to detail going on that place. It's amazing. So we have excited to announce we'll be having our grand opening next Saturday, March 28th. This new space is incredible. It's larger than our current downtown location with more room for isolation and treatment, which means we'll be able to more comfortably continue doing some of our own in-house treatments and procedures for our cats with help of our board veterinarian, Dr. Nelson. Things like, yeah, Dr. Nelson. Now, things like vaccines, snap tests, drawing blood and taking fecal samples to send to the lab, and other basic treatments. The larger space also means more cats. So in downtown, on average, we have 25 to 30 cats in the lounge, but at North, we'll have on average 35 to 40 cats. So these new cats are coming in from a few main areas. From Humane Society of Yuma, we took 12 cats. We took 17 cats in from an RV park in North Phoenix that was absolutely overrun with sick and suffering cats. And then we also have a few random cats that we've taken in recently, including one that was surrendered to Blue Pearl while Dr. Nelson was on shift. This little girl, who many of you may have met out in the check-in area, is now named Misty. Yeah. Misty-eyed Misty. And now, she's such a sweet cat, despite all she's endured in her young life. The home she was in was not always kind to her, and the reason she was surrendered was because the mother in the household was threatening to kill her. So when Carrie got the text from Dory explaining the situation and showing her how sweet this little girl was, how could she say no? Misty now has the opportunity to find a true, loving, forever home because of the generosity of all our supporters, adopters, and donors like you. This organization and this whole event brought all of you wonderful and generous people together because you see the good that can be done for the cat community around here. Now at this time, we would like to ask the pledges. And if there's a monetary level that you feel drawn to contribute at, please raise your bidder number.